Not yet. Thank God. See, that came up now instead of later. Oh, so many times. It's like all the good shit's over and I haven't hit record.
So I was reading things online of people saying that this particular class has actually impacted their lives. So I'm really excited about it today. Thank you, Louie, for being our guest and also for coming into our lives.
Yeah.
We appreciate you so much. Really
Yes,
do.
Ron? I know she. Okay, no worries. I was just gonna wonder. Okay. So, Louie's company that is presenting this class is called LouieTalks. So look him up on Facebook, LouieTalks. Look him up on Facebook. Louie's actually a new acquaintance to me, thanks to Donnie, my friend Donnie. Been trying to hook us up for about a year and a half. Yeah. And it's not Donnie's fault, it's my fault. But it's been a great friendship, great relationship. Invited him to come in here and he was of course, this is a CE credit, so extra bonus. We don't always try and do CE classes because I don't care. You can get that on your own. I just want to offer value. I just want to offer good content, good talking points, help everybody be better agents. So I know some of you that are here are lenders, some and online and are real estate agents. It's just the industry, right? So I'm looking forward to today. Lynn said, make sure I'm up there when we start. So I just have to kind of stand to the side for a minute.
I just wanted to thank everyone.
Oh, awesome.
Here, really excited to have Louie here. And that's why I wanted to be.
Perfect. Okay, before Louie comes up, you guys on Zoom, I emailed all of you about an hour ago if you registered. So you should have a link to the PDF. And then just a minute ago, that's why we're starting late, I put it in the chat. There's a PDF that's going to give you a little bit of a some graphics and then some workbook type stuff to fill out. So, and we'll pass this around to you guys here in just a second. So there's a link in there for that in the chat. And then Louie posted a link in there that you can explain that has to do with you getting your CE credits. Okay. And then we passed something around. Did you all sign that needed to?
Downstairs, there was a sign in for real estate agents for CE credit. You did that.
Okay, Louie Hamner, you're up.
All right. Thanks. Hi guys, and on Zoom, hi guys. Again, there's a link, there's a Google Doc link that's in the chat box. In order to get CE credit, you need to sign in. So at about 15 minutes after, like you'll need to have signed in within like 15 minutes of the class, and then you'll need to sign in and out of that document so that we can verify that you're here. Right? So what I want to share with you is something that I experienced a couple of years ago. Well, back in 2015 or 16, I had this experience. I want to share with you that experience, but it was that experience that made me put this class together. And so here's what happened. This was in 2016. It was 2016, beginning of the year, Monday morning. I have a meeting with Sue Cragen, who I work with, and we're talking about marketing. We're going over this, what we're going to do for the week and all this stuff. And Jamie, this a lady that has worked for me since 05 to 2016, to that point, she comes in my office and says, there's a guy on the phone that's over all of funding for XYZ mortgage company. He's totally pissed. You know, and it's Monday morning. And I'm like, I hate this job. Like Monday morning, you know. The real estate industry is such that like you want to quit on Monday, and then Friday you get a deal and you're like, this is awesome. I'm never quitting this job. Then on Monday, something happens again, or Tuesday, you're like, oh, what's happening? Right? It's up and down. Anyway, so it's Monday morning. She says he's pissed. He wants to talk to you right now. And I said, and she goes, he's over all the funding for XYZ lending. And I just said, tell him I'll call him back in 10 minutes. And she was upset, a little bit upset that I said that, because she's like, I hate telling people that. Can you just talk to him? And I said, no. And I'll tell you why I said no. Because I can't take his call right now. I'll call him back in 10 minutes. I'm gonna finish my conversation with Sue. I'll call him back in 10 minutes, just tell him that. And she's like, oh. And so she has a sticky with all the information. Oh, and then she said, let me tell you what he said. I said, do not tell me what he said. Oh, this is what she was, he's pissed. Da, da, da. She's like, and he said, because he's over all the funding for XYZ mortgage company, he's never going to let Vanguard Title fund another deal. And when she said that, like immediately, my hand was like, oh, shoot. You know, I'm sitting at my desk, I'm like, oh, shoot. And so just to give you an idea, we do about 100 deals a month with this lender, just because of all the agents that use them and whatnot, all the stuff, about 100 deals. And so in my mind, you have to understand this at this time, in my mind, I'm like, every deal is about $1,400 worth of revenue, $1,600, let's say 15, make it easy. 15 times 100. What revenue money? It's good money, times 12.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. I said, and she started to tell me what happened. I said, do not tell me what happened. I don't want to know. She's like, why? I said, because I'm going to kill somebody if you tell me who did it. I said, wait, I said, just don't tell me what happened. And there's a reason why I said that as well. I said, don't tell me what happened. Just tell me I'll come back in 10 minutes. She's like, okay, she gave me a sticky with this information on it. So she leaves. And so I turn back to Sue and I'm trying not to break my composure. Like, I want to be like, I have this under control. This is fun, you know? And so Jamie leaves and I'm like, I'm talking to Sue and I'm just trying to remain calm. But coincidentally, that morning, I had a really good morning. Like, I had a really good start to my day. And I honestly thought, this actually is going to be a really good conversation, because what I know is that sometimes, well, more times than not, more times than we ever want to give credit to, but sometimes we have something really terrible happen because something great is about to happen, right? Darkness shows up right before the light, right? What do we say that, right? It's always darkness before dawn. So in my head, I know that's why this is happening, because what they're saying is so radical. Like, never fund another deal. Are you kidding me? But kind of in my mind, I'm like, what is this? And in my mind, I'm thinking, what would we tell our agents? What would, oh my gosh, what is happening? You know? So I look at Sue and I'm like, okay, let's get back to what we were talking about. And I start talking, whatever. And she goes, stop. What are you gonna call the guy back? I said, yeah, but we're gonna finish this up. And she's like, no, Paul, I can't even think. And I'm like, I know. Okay. Okay, let's not talk about I said, stay here though. I'm gonna call him here in a minute, but just stay here. And she goes, no, I don't want to be here. She's like, I'm so nervous. Literally, she's like, I'm so nervous. I can't even focus. I don't want to think about it. And she says, just call me. No, she was a marketer. Sue was the marketer, head of all marketing. So she, to her, that's a disaster. Right? So anyway, so she says, just make the call, tell me how it goes. I don't want to be here. And I'm like, no, stay, it's gonna be awesome. But I'm kind of saying that too, because I am nervous a little bit. I'm more nervous at this point than what I know. I'm trying to get her to stay, because what's the rule? Misery loves company. I'm like, I'm gonna be miserable if you leave, like, just stay for a minute. So she leaves. When she leaves, I can remember the door closing. I'm giving you all this detail for a reason, but I can remember the door latching closed. I can remember hearing it, and then watching the door go, and it kind of rattle when it would latch, you know. And I sat there for a second, and I noticed that my hand was kind of like this, like shaking a little bit. I'm like, okay, what is happening right now? And in that moment, I thought, I can't believe one of my best friends is leaving me in a moment of crisis. This is crazy, you know, and she leaves, right? And so I pull out a yellow, I have this legal pad of paper, I pull it out, rip off the current page, and so I have a clean page. And I'm like, what is happening now? Because I just have to like write down what I know is happening. Okay. So I'm going to pause the story, and now I'm going to give you some information. Difficult or crucial conversations. There's three components, or there's three elements that make a conversation difficult. And they don't have to have all three of them. They just have to have one of the three. That's high stakes is number one, high emotion, and opposing opinion. So it's there on the handout. If you have that yellow sheet, it's on there. High stakes, or the red sheet that read high stakes, high emotions, and opposing opinions. So it's a triad. Yep. The link to which?
Oh, I'll do it.
Okay.
Keep going.
So high stakes, high emotions, and opposing opinions. So I'll just put high stakes, high emotions, and opposing opinions. So this means a difficult conversation. Any one of these three things. Now, I want to think about what real estate is. Right? Is buying and selling a house high stakes? 100% it's high stakes every time. It's for like 99% of America, it's the biggest investment they're ever going to make in their life. So it's high stakes. Is it high emotion? Well, yeah, because that's where their family's going to live. That's where they're going to live. That's where they're going to put their heads, on the pillows at night. So high stakes, high emotion. Are there opposing opinions in a real estate transaction? Like, yeah, 2 hours into this business, there's opposing opinions because people pay what's what, and another guy tells you what, and you're like, who do I follow? Who do I listen to? Because everybody has their own way of doing it, right? So if you think about a normal transaction, just basic transaction, it's two agents, typically two title companies, a loan officer, home warranty, right? Insurance, right? I mean, and you start adding these people, there's all these people that have an opinion of how something should happen. Right? This is why this job is so emotional. I remember my wife, or my daughter, she worked with me for a while, right out of high school, just a couple years ago. And she was in the car with me, and the seller called, I had to take this call, and he called, and he was out of state, and he was upset about something that happened with I don't know, I can't remember what it was. But the agent said, hey, they're going to make this call. He's going to call you tomorrow. Just talk to him and figure this out. So I'm on this conversation with him. He's angry as all get out. I'm using these techniques, these skills, and I'm using it. I'm talking to him. And I mean, he's at the beginning, he's yelling at me and all this stuff. Anyway, at the end, he's like, you're awesome. Thank you. We hang up, and my daughter goes, Dad, I don't think I can work today. And we're pulling in the parking lot. I go, why? She's like, I'm emotionally drained right now. I'm like, you're the receptionist, like you got to work. And she's like, I don't know how you do this. Mom does not understand your job. She's like, I am drained. And she's like, but this is our job, right? Like, this is what we do every day. We don't realize like we're in this industry that drains our energy, that can. Right? This is why, Friday, something bad happens over the weekend, we hate our job. And then Monday, something good happens, we love it again. And we're like in this vicious cycle. So I want you to understand high stakes, high emotions, and opposing opinions is a difficult conversation. So then there's what's called mutual purpose. Mutual purpose. And mutual purpose is when two people or two parties come together to achieve same thing. That's mutual purpose. I want to sell a house because I got to move. You want to sell my house? Let's do the deal. Mutual purpose, right? So mutual purpose, when there's mutual purpose equals safety. And I'm only writing this just because I like to keep track of what I've talked about. So, because you have it all on the handout. So mutual purpose is safety. So when there's safety in a conversation, it's because our expectations are aligned. What I believe about you is what I believe an agent should be like. Everything is there, and that's when you feel safe. That makes sense? So this is safety. So now, when the mutual purpose is in jeopardy of being obtained in the way that we believe it's going to be obtained, or that if I'm the seller or the buyer, that I believe is going to be obtained, when that objective or that mutual purpose is in jeopardy of not being obtained the way I think it should be obtained, like the closing date, or that I'm going to get the washer and dryer, or I'm not going to get the washer and dryer, I'm taking it with me, or whatever. When so safety is gone when the mutual purpose is no longer happening the way both parties see it. There's no longer safety. Because now I believe it should be yellow, you believe it should be red. And I'm like, no, it's red. You're like, no, we said it was yellow. No, we didn't. And now how are we gonna solve it? Now we're just gonna, arm wrestle for it. And if I'm arm wrestling Jeff, will probably lose, but like, so now so then that has to go on, and like, now that's a problem. Okay? So then why I'm worried and anxious is because now I'm like, I think it should be one way. Jeff or whoever thinks it should be another way. And it's wrong this way because it has to be this way. What do I do? Because he's been in the business longer than me, or I've been in the business longer, they should listen to me. That doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. We don't say, well, it's not like in wrestling where you flip a coin, you're like on top or bottom. What are you going to do? You don't get a flip. Like we're gonna hammer this out somehow. And that's the contention, that's the energy draw, that's the energy wear that we experience in this business. And that's why we go home exhausted, because you're like, oh, exhausting day. Like, what'd you do? Well, I sat at my desk all day. I'm gonna be exhausting. But you think, you put on 20 pounds, how could you possibly have an exhausting day? Emotionally drained, right? Come on, I don't want to do anything. Just give me some Cheetos and put Netflix on. I'll fall asleep to it or whatever, right? Like that's what we do to get out of it, because we don't know how to get out of this. So when safety is gone and the mutual purpose is gone, we go into fight or flight mode. So what happens in fight or flight mode is the blood rushes from your brain to your extremities because you're going to fight, right? Or you're going to run because you can feel it. That's why Jamie leaves, Sue leaves, like my hand is, I noticed as I was sitting at my desk, my hand was just like quivering. I'm like, oh shoot, it's not good. Like I can tell, I can fake it all I want. I can say, no, it's great. I'm like, I'm awesome. I can't even, So, and then when we're in fight or flight mode, because we go into tunnel vision, what happens? Your acuity, your visual acuity gets really detailed because you're trying to, the lizard brain, right? You're trying to like avoid whatever that is in front of you. And that's why you can see it. That's why I remember the door going, because I looked at the door and when it went, I was like, oh gosh, she's gone. Like, wow, it's up to me now. This guy's mad and it's 100 deals a month. I mean, it could be more than that. When I asked her, how many deals a month do we do? She's like, oh, over 100. I'm like, how much? She's like, well, over 100, less than 130. I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy. Makes sense? So now I'm in fight or flight mode. Literally, I can feel my knees shaking. And now, guess what? I'm in the worst physiology for me to have an intellectual conversation. This is what you deal with every day. And if you don't have a way to combat this or to understand what's happening, all you're going to say is F words, or at least 4-letter words, whatever your reference word is. You're going to say those words. That's what happens, So, and so when safety is gone, we go into fight or flight mode, we go, there's two, we either go silent when we're scared or we go violent. Okay. So when you understand this one. So silent, when somebody goes silent, this is what it looks like. I'm not talking about this anymore with you. Or this is what it looks like. And I mean, I'm saying anything. Right? We go silent or violent. So when they go silent, they just leave dialogue. They're not talking about the subject anymore. It's over. It's not going to get solved the way I think it should be solved. Why waste? We say this. Why am I going to waste my breath on you right now? We say this, right? And then typically we say things we don't really mean. Then we have to come back and apologize for saying those things. But why we say things we don't mean? And people say, yeah, you did mean. I'm like, no, I wasn't. I was literally in fight or flight mode. I just want to get the hell out of there. So I was saying anything to get out. Whatever it took, I was getting out. Makes sense? Out of the conversation, out of the building, out of the room, or whatever. So silence is leaving dialogue, or silence is an outward expression of compliance while holding an inward attitude of defiance. So it's like, oh yeah, Jeff, I'll get that done. As soon as you leave, dude, I'm out of here. Nope, my kid called, I had to leave. Sorry. Like, how come he didn't get that done? I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. He doesn't hear my side of it. Why am I listening to him? Why do I mean to do what he wants me to do? He doesn't hear my side. Forget about it. Makes sense? It's all making sense so far, right? Mm-hmm. When I explain it, I just want you to notice how logical it sounds. Like, yes, I know, but you don't know. Because if you knew, you'd do it. But you don't really know it. You may know it. In Greek, I speak Greek. In Greek, there's two types of knows. There's, I know that's blue. Then there's, I know my child. I love him so much. I know. Two types of knows. And what we say is in English, all knows. Yeah, I know. I know how to lose weight. I don't want that's a lie. So we say this. So we say, I know, and we got to get out of the habit of saying I know, because what that does to us, it shuts off our ability to learn. The minute you believe you know something and you really don't, and you say it, you can't learn. So if you catch yourself saying, I know, you should stop saying it, because you should learn to be curious and not judgmental, as Walt Whitman said, right? So we go silent or violent, and violent is my preference. Well, I do. Because violence is, I like saying it this way, violence is labeling, name calling, blaming, which that is my favorite of choice, being for name
I
drop.
don't think there's any in between that.
Oh, there's more. Labeling, blaming, manipulating, controlling is all forms of going violent. Violent doesn't mean you're yelling. You could, yelling doesn't mean that you're mad. My kids don't believe that, but that's what I tell them. But it just means I'm very passionate about this getting done right now. Damn it. Like this is, but yelling doesn't mean you're mad. Yelling, when you go violent, it's labeling, blaming, justifying is another one. You're justifying what happened. Labeling, blaming, yelling, justifying, and manipulating or controlling. That's all going violent. So how you can tell someone's going violent, and it's really easy, even if they use a pet name. Like I was about to teach this class one day, and I heard this agent said, she was talking to a friend across the table, that she'd been in business a long time. And she said, guess what's happening today, Cheryl? And she's like, what? She's like, Cinderella's flying in from Texas. She goes, Cinderella's flying in from Texas. Now I know the lady's name, not Cinderella. Like I'm dumb, but I'm not like that dumb to believe her name is Cinderella. So when she says that, I immediately know she feels very unsafe with her client. I know that. She called her a name. Anything other than her real name. That makes sense? It was a funny story too, because when she said that, I thought, I'm like, this one, she's just a few years ago when I started this class, but I thought, she's scared. I'm like, why would a lady with all this experience, like you could tell she was just like, would crush it. And I'm like, why would she be scared? And I thought, oh, I know why she's scared. Because the lady's in Texas, she thinks she can get away with not doing her normal things for a person that's in person. So she's been taking shortcuts. And she's been taking shortcuts. And now that the lady's actually flying in to live in this $1.5 million house, this is like back in 2017, 16, to buy this house up in Eden. She's nervous because she didn't do her due diligence the way she should have done it. That's the only reason why this lady would be scared. Right? So I'm teaching this class. I'm at this point, and I can't remember the lady's name, but I was like, whatever it is, April, can I pick on you for a minute? She's like, yeah. I'm like, how long have you been in business? She's like, 24 years. So I thought, I said, the lady called Cinderella, that you called Cinderella, I heard you say this to your friend across the table. Yes. I said, can I just make a guess of what's happening? And she goes, yeah. I said, and I said just what I said to you. And she goes, oh my God, how do you know that? That's exactly why I'm nervous she's coming out. I didn't do all the things that she wanted me to do. And now she's going to see all this stuff. And I'm worried that she's going to say, how come you didn't show me that? Because I didn't want to drive all the way back to Eden for something that was so small. I'll just deal with it when it gets here. But now she's very serious. She's starting to become more demanding because she's afraid that her mutual purpose isn't going to happen. And now she's afraid she's going to lose a commission in 2017 on a $1.5 million house. She literally said that to me. She was, how could you possibly know that? I said, what could you call her Cinderella? And I couldn't imagine any other reason why you'd be scared to talk to somebody. You should be happy to sell $1 million house or to help someone buy a $1.5 million house. She goes, yeah, I am. Can we talk about it? I said, that's Mike is very glad you're here because her appointment was like at 3:30 that day. So she's like, this is the best boss for this. Anyway, so that's what happens, labeling, label, blaming, justifying, controlling, all of those mean. And I want you to understand this, even when someone does something wrong that you didn't do, the lender messes up, the title company messes up, somebody messes up. And then I go to my client, I'm like, hey, man, sorry, this didn't happen. It's never fun, but it's kind of the title company's fault. They didn't really do their job. I just want you to know this. You are not tricking them. They know it's your fault. Even if you didn't have anything to do with it. Because you're the leader of the transaction. That would be like general sports costs, saying, it's not my fault we lost the war, it's the guys on the ground. They're the ones with the guns, I never showed up on the battlefield. They're the ones on the ground shooting, wasn't my fault. Guy should have hit, the pilot should have hit, no, your fault, General, totally your fault, it's always your fault. And they know that, they may not be able to articulate it, but they feel it. They're like, yeah, shouldn't have used this agent, they're just blaming everybody, they're lazy. That's what they think. I'm just gonna tell you honestly, they think you're lazy when you blame. Even if it had nothing to do with what you did. It's all your fault. Always is your fault. I'm not trying to get out of anything, but I'm like, it's just your fault. I've had to learn that. The hard way. Like you just have to own everything. It's just always my fault. And I remember a period of my life, I'm like, I am always wrong. I hate it. I thought I'm supposed to be right, be successful. But like I realized that the more I was willing to be wrong, the more successful I became. Because you can't be wrong. It would be like denying a failure. In order for you to be very successful, you have to have a lot of failures. You have to, it's part of the process. In order for you ever to be right, you have to be wrong a lot. If I were to say, how many times have you really been wrong in your business? You're like, oh, hardly ever. Hardly ever have your transaction go wrong. You don't feel safe. You're justified. That wasn't my fault. Of course it wasn't. You just don't feel safe. That makes sense. So this is how it works. So again, I'm just kind of going over because this whole thing, there's a whole book on it. This is, if you're to sign up to Crucial Conversations and take the class, it's a 3-day, 8-hour, it's a 3-day course for 8 hours a day, you know, and they go into lots of detail. All I'm giving you, I'm exposing you and creating an awareness to this information. There's no way I can teach it in an hour, but you will walk away with things in this hour that will change your business. I had an agent that I posted on Facebook. She said, I really wanted to come to this class. And she's like, I really want to come to this class. She was, I remember when I heard it from you a couple of years ago, it was so impactful for me to change my business. And she goes, but I kind of understand it and stuff. And I was thinking, nobody really understands this. I don't like, I've been exposed to this since 2003, and I still don't. I read the book again last year. And anyway, and I'm like, in order to master something, you have to read it over and over and over and over to really master it, right? Anyway, so she says that, then she sends me another email or a Facebook message. She says, by the way, the first deal of this year I got because I followed this. She goes, I just want to know, like, it's still working. Yes. And I just thought it was awesome for her to say that. And I'm not saying that, I'm just saying because this works. So mutual purpose, safety, silent, violent. And the one thing that I would tell you that is really helpful, that like is a paradigm shift, right? Have you ever gotten, or you get the phone call, or maybe at work, they've received the phone call or whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's that jerk. This guy is such a jerk. He wants to talk to me right now, and I don't want to talk to him, right? Now, you've labeled them, it's because you're scared. But my point is, if you were to just see them as not being a jerk, or a jackass, or whatever, you know, whatever. Like if you just see them as not that, and you just say they're just unsafe. They're just not safe. Oh my gosh, here this guy is calling again. He's so unsafe. I need to help him. Right? So if you speak of this, if you're in your office, but like if you're there and I said, hey Jeff, this guy's really unsafe. Can you talk for a minute? It's called me that for 5 times.
Linda's a
okay. Yeah, but my point is, but if I say, but if I say, hey Jeff, this guy's a total a-hole. He's called me the F word 5 times. I don't want to talk to him. He's like, but if I say, hey Jeff, this guy's just unsafe. And if you can just view it as like they're just not safe. That's all it is. They're not safe. Now they may be swearing, they may be calling you names. But that is just the manifestation of a lack of safety. That's also a manifestation of a lack of confidence because they don't believe they can restore it. And the only way they're going to restore it is by, you know, giving you a headlock or something, or doing something like that. That's they're real violence, right? They're gonna, but so because that's just a lack of confidence on their part. They're not mean. They're not angry. They're unsafe. That's what fight or flight mode looks like. You better answer your effing phone, blah, blah, blah. That's what it looks like. Tunnel vision. I gotta get in my house and you're not answering your phone. I don't care if it's 10:30 at night, you pick up your phone. I gotta get in my house. I got kids. Right? They're not angry. They're in fight or flight mode. You would not be mad at anybody for getting into fight or flight mode. If the dog was attacking them, or if they're running because there's in Barcelona for the Bulls or whatever. You go, yeah, they should, they would totally do that. I totally get that. That makes sense? So you just have to understand that like their physiology is just responding because they're so afraid. You have rarely met a mean person. And I say this with a lot of confidence. I've been in this industry since 03, and I can think of two people since 03 that I couldn't actually talk to in the end. They said, you're a good guy. I can think of two. Both jerks, just kidding. But like, I can think of two people. That makes sense. And just because I just believe they're not safe. I just have to make them safe. And that's what this agent texted me. She's like, when I was at a listing appointment and they got upset, I just focused on, I just got to make them safe. If they're upset, I've done something to trigger fight or flight mode in them. Right. And I love it because she's like, it's my fault. I made them feel this way. Right. And I just want to think of this. If you're an airline pilot, and I said, oh shit, everybody grab your seatbelt and go back to your seat. We're hurry up now. You'd be like, what is happening? But that's what we do in the real estate business to people. Don't set the proper expectations. We don't do this, we don't do that. And we're like, hurry up. And they're like, yeah, he's a jerk. You think they're mad because they're screaming? They're the jerk. I didn't make them safe. I should have told them about the turbulence. I should have told them that this was going to happen. I should have forecasted all this to them, future, cast this, all this to them, so they knew what to expect. And I love what the Joker says in Batman. They're like, nobody panics when there's a plan, even if the plan is terrifying. Nobody panics because it's a plan. And that's the problem. It's like we don't give people the plan. We don't give enough plans so they don't have to panic. But then when they do panic, we label them as the jerk. Makes sense? So here I am, the door closes, Sue leaves. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Because what happens is, I told Jamie, don't tell me what's happening. And I did say, don't tell me what happens, because I'll be so mad at whoever it is. I don't want to know right now. Because my first response is go out there and yell at them and then come back and handle this, right? Like, I'll handle you, then I'll handle this guy. So I said, don't tell me. So the problem with that was good for me, but there's also, there's pros and cons with that. So for you to understand in any situation, if we were to say this circle is the facts of all of that situation, right? If you think about like a court of law, what did they say in the court of law? Somebody said, I heard somebody say this and they felt this way. And the counsel's like, objection, Your Honor, that's hearsay. That's not a fact. How could you possibly know what my client was thinking at the moment? It's true. So they throw it out. So it has to be a hard fact. Okay. Well, in this situation, if these are all the facts of what's happening, because I haven't talked to David, and let's call this guy David, because I haven't talked to him, I don't have all the facts. All I know is head of funding, I'm going to lose a lot of money. He's mad. Something happened with the deal. I told Jamie, don't tell me anything. And I got to call him back in 10 minutes, and it's been 6. Oh my gosh. We got 4 minutes to go. Right? So what happens is, because we don't have all the facts and we're in fight or flight mode, our body has to respond so there's fight, flight, or freeze. And you're ever watching a movie and someone gets so scared, you're like, why doesn't the person just run? Because they don't have enough information as to what to do. So they're like, and then the T-Rex should have ran it. So it's fight, flight, or freeze. So animals will freeze because they know predators track movement, right? So fight, flight, or freeze. So you freeze because you're like, I don't know what to do right now. I don't have enough information. That's why you're like, I don't know what to do. I keep on avoiding this call. I keep on avoiding this call. I don't know what to do. I don't want to do. You're frozen. And that's why, like the deer in the headlights, it's not that the headlights is blinding the deer. That's not the problem. The deer doesn't know what to do. Because it's like, I don't know what that is. I don't know how big it is. I don't know what direction it's going. I'm just gonna stay here. Hopefully it's a predator. It won't track me. I'll stay here. Hopefully I'll live. They get hit. That's what happens. Makes sense? But you do the same thing by avoiding the phone call or like, I'm not doing anything. I don't want to talk about it. Don't even talk to me about it. I go home and Bib's like, how's work? Don't talk to me about work today. Throws it in this peril, you know? So what happens is your mind has to make up facts. And it's just really, you're just making up stuff. And your mind believes they're all true, but they're not true. And I'm just gonna put like dotted line, like a dot. Kind of like when they do on Jurassic Park, when they do the frog DNA, they're like, well, there's a gap. How'd you fix the frog DNA? And then now we don't know what it is, a male or female and all that. Well, what we're doing is we're injecting things. We don't even know if it's true or not. So I'm sitting there, I have my pad of paper and I write down this. Over 100 deals a month. And I'm like, why would a guy say this? And the answer to that question was, we messed up a deal and somebody lost $50,000. And I literally wrote 50K. I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody lost $50,000. The money went hard. Whatever happened, they got us stocks. We got stocks. We promised to do the closing. They didn't get the stocks till way late. We went to do the closing at 10 o'clock at night. They said, we get the docs back by 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll still fund the same deal. We didn't get the docs back by 8. We got it back by 8:15. Because we got back by 8:15, deal to do the fund, sellers pissed, all the thing, they lose the money. None of that was true. But in my mind, when I asked the question, why would the head of funding say this? I just spit that out. So I wrote $50,000, earnest money. Hard, lost it. They want us to pay it. And I looked at them like, this is so wrong. No way we're paying this. This is so stupid. I just want you to know, honestly, in my mind, that was the fact. That's what happened. Why these people want us to pay for something we didn't even do. Get us docs like, no, well, here I am, boy. That makes sense. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, and I'm thinking I got to make the call. And I look, I'm like, I got 2 minutes to go to make this call. And my hand is like shaking still. And I'm like, there's no way I'm making this call. Like, I'm just nervous about that. So then I took a couple breaths in, like literally I just sat there and went. And then I asked myself this question, and here's the question. And on your page, it's called Start with Heart. And when you start with heart, that's a skill. And start with heart skill is this. You ask yourself, what do I ultimately want out of this situation? Right? Remember, you hear the phrase, you can be married, or you can be happy, or you can be right. You can be happy and married, or you can be right and not married. Which one do you want? Right? But you can't be happy and right. If you're trying to be happy and right, forget about it. It's not going to happen. So I just have to think, what do I ultimately want? I just want to be happy. What do I ultimately want in this moment? What would I ultimately do? And I literally wrote, I just want to do whatever is right, period. And then to ask myself the question, what's right? And I thought, well, if we did contribute in a major way of losing that $50,000, I guess we'll pay it. And my heart was like, of course. I'm not going to tell my partners, I'm just going to do it. I want to be done with it. I don't want to think about it. I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And I sat there for a minute, I'm like, would I really do that? I thought, yeah, if we had a lot of negligence in it, I would totally do it. I'm going to do it. I literally took a deep breath. I'm like, I'm just going to do whatever is right. And like in that moment, I felt all this courage coming up. I'm ready to talk to him. Why? Because my mutual purpose was to make it right. I just wanted to make it right, whatever was right. And I was going to stick to the facts. Does that make sense? So I take another breath, like I look at my watch, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 10 minutes. It's right, I gotta call him right now. And I went to go call the number and my hand was still shaking because I was like, 8. Oh, I'm like, I cannot even dial this number. 801, whatever, I dial the number. And this is almost word for word what happened. And when I tell you the story, you're like, it's pretty amazing, but like I'm not making it up, but this is what happened. I call the number. He's like, and again, his name's not David, but we'll just say that he was like, ABC Mortgage, this is David. I said, hey, David, this is Louie. Vanguard, how you doing? He goes, not good. oh, shoot. And I'm still in fight or flight mode, and I literally hear him inhale. Because fight or flight mode, your senses are very acute, like you hear it, see everything, right? I literally hear him go, I'm like, and in my mind, he was like, all these expletives coming out. I was just like, so he said, he goes, he takes his inhale. And I said, hey, David, before you say anything, it's important that you know a couple of things so that we can navigate the situation appropriately. And I heard him exhale and went, no, I can say that. He goes, okay. And I thought, oh my gosh, what am I gonna say? So there was this little bit of a pause, and I said, first off, David, it's important that you know that I do not know what's happening. When Jamie came into my office, she told me that you were on the phone. I specifically told her, do not tell me anything that happened. I said, because I don't want to know. I said, because I know. I said, I told Jamie not to tell me anything because I didn't want to get a biased story from her, because I knew I would get a biased story. So I want you to know, I literally do not know anything that's going on. I just know what she said you conveyed to her about how you felt. So because you feel that way, I want you to know I have cleared my schedule for the rest of the day to work on whatever is wrong. And as I was saying this, I thought, oh my gosh, I've never said this before. I'm like, this is it's pretty good. And I said, so if I ask you, as you're telling me what's going on, if I tell you to pause or ask you a question, I just want you to know, I'm not asking the question to find where you're wrong. I'm literally asking the question to find out what happened, because I do not know what happened. Is it and? Other thing you need to know is I'm taking notes. I have a legal pad of paper in front of me, and I'm writing down what you're saying. And I'm taking notes. And the reason why I'm taking notes is because whatever did happen, I'm going to make sure we never do it again. And we train everybody about why this happened, so it never happens again, because you should never have to make this call. So I had my pen in my hand. I got my pad of paper in front of me. I'm ready to hear what happened. Go. Now, when I say that, if you were David, I just want you to know, like, how would you feel right now?
Be heard.
A little more. Yeah. Do you feel like, would you feel like this is happening, mutual purpose? You're like, yeah, I'm going to get this. This is going to be solved. What information did I give that made you believe we're going to get this solved today? What information?
Cleared your schedule.
I cleared my schedule, right? Because the first question come up is, does he even have time to deal with this today? We're busy right now. We're all busy right now.
Taking notes.
I'm taking notes, right? I didn't want to hear a biased story, so I don't know. So I can't argue. So now he's actually relieved that we're not arguing. We did not do that. That is not how that works. That I'm like, oh, okay, what else? What else? What else? That makes sense.
Usually people come at you in fight mode.
Yeah, fight mode. They're like this, that, because they're labeled, blaming, and justifying, and trying to control it.
They're expecting you to be defensive.
That's right. And they're expecting it. Perfect. Anybody online? I mean, if you guys have anything you want to add or chat in, I'd be happy to hear it. But so I just want you to know, so that's where we're at. So again, total true story. I said, I'm listening, go. And for 7 seconds, he didn't say a word. And I just want you to hear 7 seconds. David, I have my pen in my hand, I have my pad of paper in front of me. I'm listening, go. In fight or flight mode, that's like 5 minutes. I could have ran downstairs, used the bathroom, come back up and said, hello, in fight or flight mode. Does that make sense? So like 7 seconds, I literally was holding the phone, like my hand was kind of shaking with a pen. I'm like, I'm waiting for him to say something. And I look over the phone, I thought, oh, we got disconnect, internet went out or something. I looked at the phone, it's still ticking. I'm like, and what's the first rule of sales? Like, sales, when you say something, you ask a question, you don't say anything till they answer, right? So I just thought, I'm not going to say anything. No, I'm listening, go. I ain't gonna say anything about it. But me, I'm in fight or flight mode. I'm just like, that felt like 5 minutes ago, long enough. I said, David, are you there? And he goes, yeah. Literally, yeah, a pause, 3 or 4 seconds. And then he took a deep breath and went, hey, you know what? Honestly, I'm honestly, I can see that this is our fault. Literally, that is what he said. I can honestly see that this is probably our fault, and I am sorry that I've called you this morning and kind of interrupted your morning. I'm like, well, good hell.
And you
like-
still don't even know what it is.
No, well, and I was not what I did. So and he goes, and I said, really? He goes, yeah, no, let me just tell you this. Okay, here's what happened. I've worked with that funder for 13 years. I've been in the business for, oh, no, I'm sorry. This is what he said. I take that back. 7-second pause. And then he said this. In 18 years of being in this business, I have never had anybody treat me like you just did. And I thought, oh my hell, what'd I do? Thought that was awesome. I didn't say anything. I'm like, what did I do? I'm like, I was just thinking, did I not say that? Like, what did I even say? I was trying to think, I'm like, what would he be so mad about? And he goes, and honestly, I can see that this is totally our fault. I'm sorry I interrupted your morning, but that's what he said. Because I remember going, I said it right. Like, I started with my heart. I did this, I did that. Like, what was that? Like, how is this possible? I did it all right. Like, you should be happy at this point, at some point, you know? And he goes, I've worked with her for 13 years, and honestly, she can be kind of a bee. And I bet you anything. What she did was she got upset because she didn't meet, because your escrow officer didn't meet the expectation of what she wanted. So she got mad. She did this, escalated this, called me, did this, and told me a story that wasn't true. And that's why I called you. Seriously, don't worry about it. This is her fault.
We talked about the bias statement. We didn't want to have a bias statement.
Yeah.
It made him think about. Yeah.
Does that make sense? And then I said this, I thought, okay, how do I make this a win? Like, how do I really help him? Like, I just want to really help him. Because I have had employees that I was afraid of. I don't want to talk to. I don't want to tell them that. She was going to blow up. I'm like, why do I want to tell them this? She's going to be all mad and all this stuff. And then I got to deal with it. I'll just do it. Give me the funding condition. I'll just go do it. I don't care. Right? We've all done this. Again, you know, sign this or whatever. We still want to deal with it. So I know he's going through this. He had, because he just said it. He's working with him 13 years. So I said, David, I got a question for you. He goes, yeah, he goes, because this freaking stressed out my morning, whatever, something like that. And I said, hey, David, question for you. What would happen if I called, I'm making the name up. He's like, I said, what happened if I called Tammy? And I said the same thing to Tammy that I just said to you. Well, why would you do that? She's so mean. And I said, well, would it help you if I said, hey, Tammy, David wanted me to call you to find out what's happening, to make sure the whole story, blah, blah. He goes, oh my gosh, that would make this easier for me. But you would do that? I go, yeah. He's like, okay, here's her number. He gave me her number. Again, no exaggeration. I called Tammy. And before I called her, I wrote down what I said to him. I've cleared my schedule. I'm like, I can't forget this. I wrote it down. I've cleared my schedule. I don't know what's happening. Like, that was just like, that was perfect. So I thought I was doing the same thing. So I called Tammy and literally got the same response. She didn't say a word. I'm like, hey, Tammy, you still there? Yeah, listen, this was my fault. And she did what he thought she did. She's like, I was like impatient. I sent this mean email to the assistant. The escrow officer was gone. Please don't tell your escrow officer. She's been on vacation, so it's not her fault. The assistant's been doing all this stuff. And I kind of pushed it. And so sometimes I'll do this, but please don't tell them that. Like, yeah. And I'm like, hey, Tammy, can you just tell me what happened? Because I don't even know what happened yet. Oh, I did ask that of David. What happened? He kind of gave me it. He's like, there was a policy, something like this one was getting sold with bunch of policies and the deal closed, and they wanted that one to go with them, even though that one just closed like 2 days ago or something. They wanted a policy within 48 hours or something like this. Anyway, had the same thing. Then Tammy was like, hey, can I tell you all the things that you need to know that other title companies don't know? And if you knew these things, like these are the tricks I have to have no funding conditions with us. And I'm like, go ahead. She told me all these things. I'm like, perfect. She's like, no, the title company does this. I'm like, okay, great. So I just wrote those things down. But that is true, because when people believe that they're going to achieve what they believe they're going to achieve, how they want to achieve it, they're nice people. We all are nice. Because it's going to happen according to how we expected it to happen. Does it make sense? Because we all are the jerk sometimes. We all are. And when we're the jerk, what's happening is our expectation isn't mirroring reality. And then we get scared, we try to control it, we label, blame, justify. Say things we don't mean, and we have to undo all that. Make sense? This is like at its core, this is how you have a difficult conversation. You recognize, you start with heart. When it becomes difficult, you start with heart and you think, I would have what would I want? You start asking questions. What did you think was going to happen? I can see you're upset about this, and I don't think you'd be upset for a ridiculous reason. And so because I know it's not a ridiculous reason, tell me what's happening, what's going on right now. And they just want to be heard. Because when you're in fight or flight mode, even if you're being heard, you don't know it. Like you don't. You're like, did you hear me? How come you're not doing it now? It's like that. You just said it now, but it's now. Like because so you don't even know you're being heard. So you have to go into this way calm and just be like, it doesn't matter what happens. I'm always going to do what is right. If I lose my commission, if I do this, I'm just doing what's right. I'm just going to do what's right. And where we get caught up in is when we think that the money is the higher law of what's right, of what's really right, what's happening. Does that make sense? And in my experience, I will tell you this, people, the clients that want agents to pay for things that went wrong are the agents that label, blame, and mistake. And I have seen things go absolutely wrong. And I was like, don't worry about it, we'll cover it. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, no, we'll do it. Because they just owned up to it. Yeah, it was my fault. I remember I had an agent that said, I know why you're upset. She was like, Lynn, I totally know why you're upset. You thought I was perfect. I can see why you're totally upset. You thought I'm perfect. I know my husband gets mixed up all the time. He thinks I'm perfect too. I made a mistake. I did not include that you were going to keep the washer and dryer. So they're going to keep the washer. They're going to get the washer and dryer. I'm sorry. And I'm so sorry. And I know what was the washer and dryer? Was it important to you? Was it your grandma's? Was it this? Should we buy some? What should we do? And when she offered all this, they're like, don't worry about it. She goes, no, I'm going to pay for it. They're like, no, it's my fault. I thought you were perfect. And it's okay. And these were type A personalities. They were drivers. They were people that you would like, they're not going to say it's okay. They're like, yeah, you made a mistake, pay for it. Go ahead. Your fault. I don't have any problem with it. But that's what happens. That makes sense? So you have to look at it in that terms. Where we have time. Oh, right on. So I'm going to say this. So sign in. So on that Google Doc, again, you have to sign in and out. We have to show to the state that you came in at 11:05 or whatever it was, and you left at 12 o'clock, whatever. So crucial conversations, high stakes, high emotions, opposing opinions. Safety equals mutual purpose. And you can't know their purpose unless you sit down and you ask them, how did you think this was going to go? What did you think would happen? That makes sense? Why did you think? And in my experience, when you're at the closing table and there's a misalignment of expectations, I always try to tell the client, or the buyer and seller, look, it's not like we're making a hamburger and we accidentally put ketchup on it and you don't want ketchup. We're going to go back there and bring it back one without one. Not how it works. Whoever told you that this transaction is going to be without flaw, they were just trying to, if somebody told you that, they're just trying to get you. They're like, because they'll say, I should have used the other person because they lied to you. That would be like the pilot saying, there's no turbulence. We'll land right at 9:06. Wheels will be up at 7:05, and there's no turbulence, and you're going to get your water and your treats when you want. Like that ain't happening. I'm like, but that's what the agent just said to you. Would you ever believe that the pilot said it? No. Why? Well, I've flown a lot. How many real estate deals have you done? 2. That's why you don't know it. That's why you can believe a lie. I can tell you that's the lie. The illusion is that, and they were saying that because they don't really control it. So they're trying to allude to the fact that they control it all. They don't. And that's what they were trying to get. That's why. you actually got the person that told you the truth. And good for you for not believing the person just telling you that there's no turbulence and rules are up at 7:05, you know, land at 9:06, business. Like, oh, yeah. But see, there's this belief, because if you believe, if your story is, if you said we're closing on this day, if we don't close on this day, you did something wrong. That's just not the truth. Right? That's just not the truth. Even if we have to extend the contract, it's not that nobody did anything. That doesn't mean somebody did something wrong. Somebody is more complicated. And I explained to him, there's like all these people that have to touch this file. Like if we took this and we're like, we're gonna pass this around and it's gonna look just like this. After everybody in this room touches it, and hey, it's gonna be bumped, and you're gonna drop it, drink on it. I'm gonna get it back. Like, what the hell? This is not what I gave you. Like, yeah, that's real estate. That's what happens. That's how it happens. Anything else is a lie. Makes sense? And they're like, that totally makes sense. When you use something that they have done, like fly. And you say, that's what this is. You're like, yeah, how could they possibly say that for sure at 7:05 a.m.? I have no idea. Why would someone tell you something that never happens or only happens 20% of the time? Because they just wanted my business and the money. That's right. That's exactly what that's why I would do it. Like, yeah, it's true. Makes sense. And now this goes back to, yeah, you are achieving my goal, what I want, exactly how I always thought it would. You didn't lie to me, you didn't do this, you didn't overpromise, underdeliver. Perfect. Makes sense? So, and what I would say is the key to this for me anyway, there's all these other skills. There's a contrasting skill where you tell them you don't want them to think something. Like if I were to tell Jeff something like, Jeff, I got some feedback for you. I don't want you to think this impacts our relationship. What I do want you to think that this is going to grow our relationship. So just because I'm giving you feedback and telling you what you did wrong, I don't want you to think that it's going to impact our relationship negatively. In fact, what I do think it's going to do is impact our relationship in a very positive way. So now if I give a contrasting statement, what I don't want them to possibly think about it and what they should think about it. Now it's kind of like in basketball, we set the parameters, say, you step on this line, you're out of bounds. Now I gave them what the bounds were. They're like, oh, I want to have this conversation with you. I got to give you some feedback on stuff you didn't do right, but I don't want you to think it impacts my relationship. And I do what you think negatively. I do what you think is going to impact the relationship in a very positive way. Right? Oh, lay it on me. Tell me everything you want. But if I don't set that contrasting statement before I say it, they're like, I'm fired. They hate me. All of these things. I'm leaving them to make up the story. So the more facts I can give them by using contrasting statements, the less story they're going to have. Does that make sense? This is the last skill I just wanted you to know. So there's contrasting statements and start with heart. Again, I know I'm getting like you drink from a fire hose, but there's no way 1 hour. It's impossible. So what I would tell you is read the book, Crucial Conversations. Joseph Grenny is one of the authors. And get the 3rd edition. There's a couple editions of these. So how this whole story happened is that all happened. I went to lunch with 4 brokers and I was telling them the story, or 3 brokers. I was telling them the story. They're like, you're amazing. You're awesome. How did you know to do that? I'm like, I'm just amazing. I'm like, you don't know me well enough to know that. Like, that's okay. You don't know me. They're like, no, how did you know that? And in that moment, I'm like, I don't even know. I literally said, I just know. That night I go home and in my office, in the bookshelf, it said, Crucial Conversations, over 1 million copies sold. Crucial Conversations, over 2 million copies sold. Crucial Conversations, over 3 million copies sold. My friend was one of the master trainers for this training. And every time they did a beta or they redid it, he'd say, hey, you want to come to this 3-day training? Cost you $1,500, but you get to go for free. I'm like, perfect, I'll go. I did it 3 times from 2001 to like 2010. I did that class 3 times. So then I had to go back to the brokers. I'm like, I'm not awesome. I just took this class 3 times. And it just played out. I totally forgot because it was so long ago. We're like, you should do a class on this. And I'm like, oh yeah. I go, what did I do? They're like, just tell that story and then explain it. They're like, because we're like, this was awesome. Makes sense? So I submitted it, they accepted it as CE, and that's why we're here today. So I just want you to know, like, this is like this book and these principles, these skills, like they work. And they don't work out of manipulation. They work when your heart is in it and you're wanting to accomplish the mutual purpose as they see it. And it always works. Always. Like I said, I can think of only 2 people that at the end they're like, I think you're still whatever. But just because they, they were so stuck in the story. Make sense? So, anybody have any questions or what I want to hear just in the last just 2 minutes? Like, I'd like to hear like, what came up for you? What did you find as the most important when you walk out of here? Like, this is the most important thing. What for you was the most important thing when you walk out of here? You say, I'm so glad I went to that class, because how would you say it? What would you say? Why would you be so glad that you came to the class? What are you going to walk away with that you can instantly utilize in the next moment? Anybody?
That triangle. The high emotions, opposing opinions, and high stakes. I like being able to pinpoint things. And then if I can pinpoint that out of those 3, then I know that that's leadership.
Yeah.
And then I can follow simple guidelines and have a peaceful conversation. It gives me more confidence.
Yeah, love it. Perfect.
Recently went through a deal that went really shitty. And, I mean, if I had had this class previous to it, I may not have called Jeff at all.
Oh, so you're the one he was talking about. Yeah.
Marcus, he's not here.
That's awesome. Perfect. Anybody else? What do you walk away with that you think I'm gonna use?
So last year I called an agent. The agent is super fun to talk to. And nice conversations a couple times that I've talked to him. But I asked him a question about comps on a house because Jeff and I couldn't come up with where his value was, and my clients really liked it, but they wanted to put in a much lower offer. So I called him and just was talking. I wasn't coming at him because I don't come at people. And he started, I didn't come at Jeff.
Now speak a bit more.
Anyway, I was just wondering because we work so much better as agents. We work together, right?
Yeah.
He started screaming at me about numbers and what he listed where he did. It wasn't a talk. It was like he was yelling at me.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I was just trying to calm him down. But if I would have put in my head, okay, he's unsafe, I usually think, oh gosh, they had a bad morning, or they're not getting along with their wife, or something like that. But to put it into perspective, they're unsafe, and it's actually a manifestation of a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
That might have helped me. I mean, that conversation did not go well. I could not de-escalate him at all. Just like you said, most of the time I can de-escalate people and I can get them really happy by the end of the phone call. But that one, he must have been thinking I was coming at him in some way and started fighting me.
Yeah, that's perfect. And just so you know, like, even though it's like something with their spouse or whatever it might be, like, you're like, it's not this, they had a bad morning, they're still unsafe.
Right.
So it doesn't, like, if you're concerned about the person, not the transaction, they're still just unsafe. That makes sense. I had a deal where the agent said, hey, a woman should not be in the closing room with this person. He's so angry. It's just so mean the whole time. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I don't want to do it. They're like, you do it. I'm like, Anyway, I go in there and it's a divorce. They're losing the house because nobody's making the payment. So it's going into foreclosure. So they're avoiding foreclosure. So they're selling the house, right? Now they're splitting the proceeds. There's not much in the house. This is a few years ago. What, 10 grand in the house. So there's 12 grand in the house or something. They're getting back 6 or something. So I walk in there, go to sign it. It's super simple. Just sign, it's a seller side. You sign 5 papers, you're out, right? And he just like, and he looks at, and he saw everything ahead of time, and he gets there, like, I'm not signing this epic stuff, get it out of my face. And in my mind, I'm like, then why did you even show up? Like, literally, it's 7 pages. Why are you here? Right? So he shoves it back to me, and I'm thinking, how do I make him feel safe? What is happening? And I look at the documents. And Because it shows what he's getting and then what his wife is getting paid out. Anyway, no lie, like she's getting 1 penny more than him. So I'm like, so this is what I said. I said, hey, his name was Marty. Actually, I said, hey, Marty, look, I've done this long enough that I know that when people go through a divorce, it always feels very personal and nobody really wins. I've never been divorced, but I've done enough transactions in this business that nobody feels like they win in a divorce, really. In the end, nobody wins. And I said, so you've been going over this how long now? And he's like, this has been 12 or 11 months or something. I said, so 11 months, you don't have any wins, you're just getting losses. I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you 53 cents and give her 52 cents just to give you a win. What do you think? He's like, yeah, man. Yeah, give me these papers, I'll sign them. That was it. Signs them. That is not an exaggeration. And I told the agent, see, there's no a-holes. There's not safe. You just gotta you gotta look for it. And if you just look for it, you'll find it. But if you're in fight or flight mode and you can't be present and to see what's really happening, because their energy is making you tunnel vision and all that, this isn't your deal. That makes sense? That's their life. And even how they respond to life, that's how they're doing it. It's not your fault. Deals happen, hard things happen and deals get hard and nothing happens the way we think it should happen in real estate as much as we think it should or whatever. And just because they're responding like that to life, that's not your fault. Just don't play off of their energy. Just keep on going back to what's true. What's true is I just want to help you as much as I possibly can. I don't know what to do for you right now because you're yelling and you're upset. I don't even know how to help you. I want to help you, but I'm frozen. Jim, how do I help you? How can I help you when you're yelling? I don't blame you for yelling, but how can I help you when you're talking like this? I don't know what to do right now. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be yelling. Okay, here's how you can help me. Make sense? Justin.
I wrote down 2 questions. The second one you kind of answered. The second one says, how do I make them feel safe? And you kind of answered that. But first one, how do I figure out what is making someone feel unsafe? So you could recognize the signs of them unsafe. Then how do you pinpoint what it is? Like you're in a conversation with someone, all of a sudden it just turns you like, what just happened?
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple of things. One, there's a couple ways that I do it. And again, I always just go back to start with talk. I just feel like, what would I do if this was what I really want to do? If I was an EMT and I'm showing up, the guy's cussing and swearing, I'm not going to say, well, I'm not going to give you a tourniquet because you're cussing and swearing. Calm down, and then I'll give it to you. That's not what they do. Does that make sense? So you don't have the option, but if we have the option of I'm not going to bandage you up until you stop swearing, until you talk to me politely, I'm not going to talk to you and work this out with you. It's never happening. That makes sense. You're escalating it. So a couple of things. One, I would say something like this. Justin, I can see Justin, I can see that you're not yourself in this moment. And it sounds like you're looking for a reason why this is happening. And I don't think this is who you are. This person that's showing up right now isn't the person that I know. And I know that when I do that, it's because I'm frustrated. I don't feel like it's going my way. I could give a laundry list of things why I do what you just do, what you're doing right now. And I don't know what to do for you, but I do want to help you. Why do you feel this way? What's going on? What is it you're thinking about this? Something like that. That makes sense. You have to show them that you believe that's not who they are. I don't think this is who you are right now, but not you just have to say, I've never seen you act like this. And something must be happening because I know it's happening in this transaction and I wouldn't respond to what you're doing. And because I know you're a good person and you're a lot like me and you're responding this way, maybe I'm missing something. What am I missing that's causing you to be so upset, to be so emotionally tied to this? Because I must be missing something. Tell me what I'm missing. I want to help you figure it out. Something that makes sense. Something like you're leading them like that.
The phrase I've used is help me understand. So you just ask them hey, help me understand what you're feeling or what's going on right
Yeah. And sometimes when someone's in fight or flight mode, they say that, like, if you're asking me, I'm like, help you understand, how come you don't know? You're the agent, like, I'm just saying, I've had people say, good, say it, I can't believe you're asking me that question. But if I say, I have acted like you, when I do that, it's because I usually don't have the full story. When I do that, I do this, I'm just like you. Does that make sense? I think what you're saying is good, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm saying it's good, but there's, I always try to, like, I always try to go, what was like bulletproof? And if, when I can say, I've acted just like you, I have said the very same things and all this stuff. So I don't blame you one bit. I don't care that you're cussing and all that, calling me names. It doesn't matter. I don't care. But I do know that that's not who you are, because you're a lot like me. And I just want to know, like, what is it you must know something that I don't really know. What's happening? Is there something I've missed? Is there a deadline or something that you haven't told me about? And then they say, well, yeah, I didn't tell you about that. My boss called and we have to move faster. And so if I can get out there in 2 days sooner, then I get this and I get an extra $5,000. I got to get this done. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, you couldn't know that. He told me that last night. Does that make sense? Like something comes up like that. You're like, well, that's why he's not, because he's not communicating. Makes sense.
I got a comment on that too. It's kind of been the theme of what you've been talking about is separating the behavior from the person. And then we wouldn't be labeling them and giving them pet names and stuff like that because of what they're going through. And it reminded me of something that my daughter actually told me, and this has to do with you too, Louie, because most of you that know Louie know that he does a breath work practice. If you don't, like it said at the beginning of the class, go to his Facebook, find him on Facebook, and you can learn more about that. But anyway, Ashley and I were at his place doing the breath work, and her experience has a lot to do with what he's been talking about that helped her in these conversations. She didn't know about this class, but during her practice, she pictured her kids. They're 7 and 3. She speaks to them a certain way, but for some reason, then she pictured mom and dad and other people in her family as kids. And like kids at heart or whatever it was, the meaning of it is sometimes the behavior isn't attached to a personality trait, it's circumstantial. And you would talk to your 7-year-olds, okay, let's talk about what happened, right? And you're able to show empathy. And I can't even tell you how much that's helped me in my conversations before even this class is to be able to show somebody empathy by just looking at them as just an innocent person and they're being affected by something outsourced that's causing a certain behavior or reaction. You're like, man, it's such an asshole, whatever, you know, it's like, but he's not, or she's not that type of a person 24/7. There's something that's caused that. So picturing them as kids has been something that's helped me actually almost put into practice this kind of stuff without having these talking points. And so I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, thank you.
To that too, from a woman's perspective, is that I find that if I just listen and let people talk, I listen and let them talk. Sometimes they just need to let it out and vent, and then you can figure out exactly what it is that, because his question was, how do you figure out what is making them feel unsafe? Well, depending on, I guess, the personality type, some people will just keep going and going and going. If you quit trying to fix it, a lot of times we want to fix their problem. We want to help them. We want to coach them. But if we just let them talk and let them, you know, just ask them questions and let them keep going, there's some things I've been learning. Then we can get to those inner reasons as to why they're feeling the way they are. Just quit coaching and telling them our perspective.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So if for some reason, if the link isn't working, just type your name and your license number in the chat, and then I'll just get it off of the chat and we'll just put it in there. So that'll work as well. So and give me a sign in, sign out. So name, license number, sign in, sign out, put it in the chat, and then I'll add you. And if I miss you, I'll go back and we'll find you and we'll get all of you. So we'll get you added. Anybody else have anything or like their takeaway?
Anybody on Zoom? Unmute yourself. Okay, Louie, that was amazing. Yeah. Okay, one other takeaway that I had that I'm gonna use, let's see. What am I doing? Next time somebody calls me out when I make a mistake, I'm gonna use that. I understand the problem here. You thought I was perfect. I can see why you were upset. You thought it was perfect. I'm using that one for sure.
She said that a lot, and it's funny. I'm like, that's.
Oh, yeah, that's my takeaway. Put that on a bumper sticker.
I can see why you're looking me out on the road.
Jeff,
Cool.
they're saying the dock is
Yeah.
oh, you got it, it's viewable, but won't let us have it.
Just addressing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if I don't know why it's not working. It worked right before we came here. So you just type in your information and on the chat and we'll add you.
I've taken a couple of screenshots too of you guys that were on Zoom at the beginning and to the end. So if I don't see anything from you, we'll make sure we get it taken care of. So
And Zoom has
don't hang
a
up.
function that you can look at and see all the participants in it. And
Yeah.
that's fine. We'll get you.
So thank you, Louie. For those of you that don't know, he's also part of Fidelity National Title. You can find his information online or reach out to me and I'll get that to you. So they kind of help sponsor this, but we have an actual in-person sponsor here as well as another sponsor that's brought us lunch that are here in person. Janine, come on up here. Janine Ottley with Edge Homes. She's amazing. She was just telling me right before we got started that she's in the top 10 agents, right, at Edge. Isn't that awesome? So congrats on that. Janine has done a great job. She's been involved in some of our events and in our trainings, and we love having her in here. So come up here, tell a little bit about yourself, Edge, and what you can do to help us all do more deals.
The Edge agent is money. So you want to get to know her.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
And thanks, Louie. That was awesome. My takeaway from that or my experience is that yesterday I made a huge mistake. And my first response, which I think is not how I would have reacted in the past, was to take extreme ownership. And I just owned 100% of the mistake that I made, regardless of anyone else's involvement. Doesn't matter, right? And the response I got from the client and the agent was pretty awesome. And so it kind of just brings emotions down, right? And helps everybody kind of work together. So anyway, yeah, so I was with another builder before. I've been at Edge a year and a half, and I kind of, I don't know, rookie of the year, whatever you want to call it. I was in the top 10, and now I'm up there with like the top 2 agents in the company. So I'm pretty stoked about that. We'll see if that lasts. I'm trying. So I've been in new construction for 8 years. I've been a real estate agent in new construction for 6, and I love it. It's my area of expertise. This is what I do. And I'm just happy to be here and provide lunch for you guys. But I do want to tell you that the cool thing that Edge is doing right now is that I think they've been one of the most responsive builders that I've seen to market pricing and understanding that prices really do need to come down. And so they've gone and done like 24 specs that have come down and another 24 specs, or, you know, they've worked with our existing inventory. I think we have 140 sitting done specs right now between condos, towns, and single family. And so Edge is looking at every offer. Edge isn't offended by non-price or non-full price offers. We want to do everything we can to get a deal done. And so anything that I can do, I'll leave my card, it's somewhere, but I'll leave my cards out there for you guys. But anything that I can do to help, I would love to. If you already have an Edge agent, that's awesome. I'm just here to try to listen, to try to communicate well, and give your clients a good experience. So anyway, thanks you guys.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey guys, you guys that are here, hopefully you can stick around, just kind of visit, network a little bit, talk to Louie, Janine, and have some lunch. And you guys on Zoom, thanks for sticking around clear to the end. I think we're, wow, almost half an hour over. So thanks, thanks guys.
Went for an hour and a half.
You did. Sorry. Okay, love you guys. Reach out if I can do anything for you. See ya.
And like